Joining me now, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, 2024 presidential candidate, coming off a very strong debate with Governor Gavin Newsom last week. Governor, some are calling this you versus Haley for the battle of the Trump alternative slot. So today in The Hill, we read that some anti-Trumpers in the Senate, Mitt Romney among them, were backing her as well. It seems like someone's trying to establish an air of inevitability here regarding Haley. Your reaction?
Well, I'm the true conservative in the race. I have the strongest record of actually delivering results. That's including the lot of them. And I'm somebody that would be able to get in there, serve 2 terms, and actually deliver all the things that we've wanted to see delivered at the national level, just like I did in Florida. I have more similarities on policy with Donald Trump than I do on Nikki Haley. I think Nikki Haley really represents the last gasp of a failed establishment, where she wants to force everybody to register their identities on social media. She said, I want their names. She said we should have unlimited immigration that's controlled by corporate CEOs rather than we the people. And of course, she took the side of Disney against me and the state of Florida when it came to protecting kids from sexualization of elementary school curriculum. So she's out of step with the vast majority of Republican voters. But I think some of those elements are people that really want to take the party back to a failed establishment of yesteryear. And that we know for sure that will not happen.
Governor DeSantis, we were just talking about this devastating Washington Post takedown of the mismanagement of the war in Ukraine. It's a blockbuster piece. And the Senate is now considering doubling and tripling down, along with the House, on what has been declared by pretty much both sides a stalemate. What is your view on this, given the problems that have already been caused and encountered?
Well, we're functionally bankrupt as a country. We have massive problems here at home. You know, they've sent billions and billions of dollars to do things like pay salaries for Ukrainian bureaucrats, pay for pensions for Ukrainian bureaucrats, fund small businesses, doing things that American taxpayers should not have to do. And so I think that Republicans need to tend to the issues that we're dealing with here in the United States. I do agree that there is a stalemate. I think if you keep funding massive amounts of money 2-3 years down the line, I don't think there's going to have been much of a difference in terms of how this ends. So Biden should try to bring this to a conclusion. As president, I will definitely bring it to a conclusion.
Now, squad member Pramila Jayapal is getting a lot of heat, Governor, for what she said about rapes being committed and documented by Hamas. Watch.
I already answered your question, Dana. I said it's horrific, and I think that rape is horrific, sexual assault is horrific. I think that it happens in war situations. However, I think we have to be balanced about bringing in the outrages against Palestinians.
Governor, your reaction?
Unbelievable. What they did, Hamas did to the Israelis, these are civilians, many of them women and children, was barbaric. It was a new low of depravity. I mean, even ISIS didn't reach this low on some of the things that Hamas was doing. When Israel is responding to defend itself, they are conducting themselves with standards. They are conducting themselves in accordance with the law of war. You hear a lot of talk about civilians in Gaza, but just understand, that is Hamas's fault. All these civilians can be protected if Hamas unconditionally surrenders and releases all the hostages. They refuse to do it. Israel cannot sit there with a terrorist group on its border that wants a second Holocaust. They have every right to defend themselves, and they should defend themselves.
Finally, Governor, I know you have some thoughts about Florida State being left out of the college football playoffs. A lot of heartache in Florida. You know, I'm a Bama fan. I was at the Georgia game. So we might have a little disagreement here, but what's your reaction? Trump apparently is blaming you for this situation somehow.
Well, So they undefeated conference champion, and to be left out in favor of 2 one-loss teams, and not those are good teams. I mean, don't get me wrong.
No,
but Florida State earned that spot. Now, people have said, is there anything you can do? They're actually looking to see, is there anything they can do? I don't know if there is any recourse, but I have set aside $1 million in case there ever is any litigation. I'm not saying that there's going to be. They are looking at it. I don't think that this has spoke well for college football, and we'll see. And, Donald Trump wants to blame me. He also said that he also took Disney's side against us when we stood up for the kids. He also said Cuomo in New York did COVID better than we did, and he attacked me for being pro-life. Maybe that's a reason we should have a debate on your show, Laura. Stop being a keyboard warrior, and let's step up and debate one-on-one. He's had a lot to say about me over the last year. Say it to my face. I'm game.
Yeah, well, the RNC has their supposed rules. They can't have debates. That all has to go away. You need to go head-to-head with Nikki Haley. It will be totally fair. Everyone will get a fair shot and a fair chance to speak. And I know Governor Haley would, acquit herself well, and I know you would acquit yourself very well. So I hope she takes our offer on that. And it's an open invitation. Governor, thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.